Okay, welcome back to the Flip Side of Death podcast. I'm your host, Lynn Stone, and today I have a very special guest with me. Her name is Stacey Taylor, and I got to know Miss Stacey at a local event that we're a part of, and I am just enamored with this woman. She is fantastic in so many ways, and I fell in love with her story, and I felt like her story not traditionally what I do for my podcast as far as, like with the grief, but I think it's so important that you hear her story because of what she's been through. So with that, Miss Stacey, go ahead and tell the folks a little bit about yourself and then we'll go on from there.
Awesome. Hi, guys. I'm Stacey Taylor, born and raised native here in the Golden Isles, Brunswick, Georgia. I've been teaching in the public school system here for about 15 years and big community supporter, big community advocate, and I don't know, just a whole lot of things.
Well, and you're a baker. You've got your
Am.
business. Yes, and that's how
I
I got to know
do.
you, is because of your baking business. So tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about your, like, how you got into that. What the name of it is? Cake. Cake. I'm probably
Keiki
mispronouncing it.
is the name.
Cakey.
So Keiki is a micro bakery. I have a cottage license, so I bake from my home, and then sell to the public. And they're low, and I have some products in some retail locations, like Makers in downtown Brunswick or Jittery Joe's in Redfern Village on St. Simon's Island. And my bakery is a little bit different from others. I learned to bake from my mom, Wanda Taylor. And she was the Southern epitome of the most gracious Southern host you could think of. And her favorite gift to give for most occasions was her sour cream pound cake. She
Mm-hmm.
called it the birthday cake because it went with everything. So if you had a birthday, you got a pound cake. If you got a new job, you got a pound cake. If you moved into a new house, a new baby, a pound cake. Like anytime you wanted to bless someone and let them know that I was thinking of you, I produced something and it turned out to be this pound cake, well, then you received the pound cake. So I learned to bake with her like as a little person. Like I remember in elementary school, her laying out the ingredients and then we would talk about the ingredients. Or if she went shopping and I was helping her unload the groceries, if I saw sour cream, I knew a pound cake was coming because my mother didn't like sour cream and she never used it for anything. So if there was sour cream in the house, we would be
Mm.
baking within hours. And so I would just be excited and ready to go.
That's so sweet. I love it. And I have similar memories of baking, not with, well, a little bit with my mom, but more with my grandmothers. Like just that,
Yeah,
like you just kind of knew. And food is love. Food is a love
truly.
language. So if
Truly it
you're,
is.
and that sounds like Miss Wanda, that was her love language for you.
Yeah, it really was. And it really didn't have to be a pound cake. Like that was her go-to gift. But as I like understood and watched my mother and what she was modeling to me, she was really modeling service and service with food. So like another one of her things that she would love to make was deviled eggs.
Oof.
Just deviled eggs. And people swore that she had magic in them and they were the request of every church social or any little potluck. And I'm like, but they're just deviled eggs. But they weren't. They were loved over and prayed over and
Right.
all the good mama loving. And so it came out. And so when I started to bake on my own, when I became an adult, I would stress bake every once in a while. And like I would crank out like 5 to 8 cakes. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I have all these cakes. And so I remember one year I was in administration at the middle school and I wasn't in a good spot and I was just really stressed and I couldn't get myself out of the frenzy of the end of the semester, the beginning of a new semester, all the things that I had like requirements to close down one and just a lot of things happening. And I just, that weekend, I was like, grocery shop, stress baked. And I literally, like, I have pictures. I baked like almost upwards of 8 cakes, like cakes and loaves and bunks. And I took them to work the next day, the next week. And they're like, what happened? I'm like, I just had to bake. And so, but I felt so much better. And even in launching the business, like, that's kind of how the business launch was. I just really wanted to bless some people, and I baked a cake and like had a conversation with the creator, and it just rolled into caking,
I
literally.
love it. I love it. So now you were talking about Miss Wanda, and we know, I mean, today is a very special day.
Yeah,
Today is the 1 year anniversary that Miss Wanda had earned her wings. I like to call it
yeah,
the angel versary. That's our
yeah.
angelversary.
It's a
So
good one.
today,
I
it
called it her
is.
transition day because she changed her address.
There, there there you go. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. And so I know that this is part of like your grief journey. Baking is kind of, like a stress relief for you, but it's also part of your grief journey. So can you tell us, I mean, you've told us a lot about Miss Wanda. Was she ill? Like, were you taking care of her leading up to her
Yes.
passing?
So, I guess now it'll be 4 years ago, almost four. She was diagnosed. It was very sporadic, odd, the way the illness came about. My mother was very active. She had been retired over 8 years, and she had a very retirement schedule. So she would get up in the morning, she would have her oatmeal. She would go walk a couple of miles at Howard Kaufman Park. She would go volunteer on certain days. She would shop on certain days. So she had her little retirement routine down. And like I literally could set clockwork to it. I'd be like, oh,
Wow.
today's Tuesday. Are you going over here? Oh, today's Wednesday. Are you going over here? And it became apparent, like I would speak to her twice a day minimum, like when I woke up in the morning and then when I got off at work. And I would call her. I was driving home from work, and I'd be like, well, what did you do today? And she's like, I just felt like staying in. And that just didn't ring well. And that wasn't who she was. And that went on for about a month. And she's like, and then she started losing weight. And she's like, I'm just going to go get checked out with her primary care physician. And she was dehydrated at the time. And so they suggested she go and get fluids at um, the emergency room. So I got off work, collected her. We went to the emergency room, and said to them, these are the things, and we're just here to get fluids. Well, just getting fluids turned into she was getting a battery of tests. And I was like, well, why are we getting so many tests? Like, we literally just need fluids.
Right.
And then that turned into a couple of hours in the emergency room, to which the physician comes in and goes, okay, we think it's cancer. We're going to admit you. And we're like, whoa, we're
Oh,
here for, what are you
fluids.
talking about? Like, we're here for
Smooth
fluids.
sailing.
Yeah, like, wait a minute, wait a minute. We're here for fluids. So for that bout, I think she was in the hospital maybe 4 or 5 days. And because they needed to do they saw spots on her liver, and they needed to do a biopsy of the liver, but she had just taken, a pain relief, like Tylenol. So that was going to skew the results. So they had to let that subside out of her system before the biopsy. The biopsy happens. We get checked out. She gets checked out of out of the hospital, and we're waiting for a couple of days. And the oncologist doesn't call, because that was the instruction. The oncologist is going to call you, review the results, and call. Well, we'd gone maybe almost a week. And if you know, like, my mother's a very patient woman, but this was not the time to be patient. She ends up going back to her primary care and then reading the orders because she had access from the hospital. Read the orders, and there was cancer found, and she had not nodules, but she had like spots that were on her liver and parts of her lung, and it was stage 4.
Mm,
And not sure how long the cancer had been in her body. And she was doing all the right things. She was eating right, low
mm,
sugar, very minimal carbs, no white refined sugar, keto. Like, she was doing all the things.
right.
And I mean, and like communion and worship, and like she was like the model Southern Christian lady. And then so she gets diagnosed with cancer, and so that started the journey. And her physician told her, I found this in her journal writings, that he didn't expect her to live, like, let's say 6 to 8 months.
Wow.
Like, he didn't give her a prognosis. And in fact, I remember him saying to us, like, I'm not going to give you a prognosis. Like, who am I to say how long you will be on earth? But in that same conversation, he was like, let's call hospice. And we're like, whoa, hospice is at the end. Like,
Right.
we're at the beginning. Like, why would we be calling hospice? So, but she lived another 2 years, having like more than maybe 15 rounds of chemo, two different kinds of chemo, and living on her own through all of it. And I did not become, I mean, I was her caretaker, but I didn't become her 100% full time caregiver until the last month of her life. Like
Wow.
April of 24. I think we stopped chemo maybe in February or March, I
Hmm.
think. And and then like some other weird things that happened, and like I noticed signs of her going into decline, and she was having some cognition issues.
Hmm.
So like I remember May a year ago, May, like early part of the month 2024, the oncologist was like, okay, we've done it all, like we've taken a break, it's coming back more aggressive, like it's really not worth, I don't want to use the words not worth you taking the chemo, but that's not going to be the quality of life for
Right.
you, kind of thing.
Right.
And so yeah, we like sat with that for like a couple of hours, and like I remember leaving his office and we were both kind of just sitting stunned, because now that's the death sentence that nobody says is the death sentence.
Right.
And I look at her and I'm like, whew, okay, well, we need to go buy some water. Do you want to go to St. Simon's or do you want to go to Jekyll? And she goes, let's go to St. Simon's. So she has this, her favorite spot is 12th Street. And so we drove down 12th Street and sat right by the lighthouse is on the right, and we're looking out over the sound, and it was just
Beautiful.
worship. Yeah,
Yeah.
like we played worship music and we just sat and held hands, and then went to our other location, which is East Beach, and we went and sat and watched the people, and then the hospice nurse calls. Like, and
Hmm.
that's kind of how we started that part of the process.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that I mean that whole process in itself, I'm so glad that you had that opportunity to be with her and to have that shared memory and to be able to go
Yeah.
be in those spaces. And um of course, hospice just that when I feel like when hospice comes in, like that's just the end.
Yeah.
They're here, they're
And
gone, and that's it.
yeah, but I really wish I would have listened to the doctor at the beginning and not been so, oh no, it's hospice, it's the end, because it would have been so much easier. Meaning, I don't have siblings. My mother
Okay.
didn't have siblings, or we didn't have family here. It was just she and I.
Hmm.
So to have someone walk along with me and who already understands the process, even more so
Right.
than I would have,
Right.
I could have seen how I would have gleaned a little bit more. It was not unhealthy, it was not toxic, but it would have been a better scenario. Like, the more information you have, the more information you have.
For
And I
sure.
just would have had better supports.
Yeah. And you would have had a partner to help just kind of
Yeah, and
do all the
so
things.
exactly. And so now on this side of death, I am like, oh my God, hospice is amazing. And the sooner the better. And yeah.
Yeah. So, talking about like the planning and preparation piece. I mean, she was full of life and had her plan, like had her
Yeah.
schedule, and she had all of her things. Did she have all of her things kind of figured out? Like, did she have a will
Yeah.
and all that kind of
So
stuff?
again, she was an old Southern lady. So she did as old Southern ladies did. She, like years ago, like my parents were divorced when I was like maybe 8,
Wow.
10, somewhere in there. So
Yeah.
she had a will drawn up at that point when I was
Okay.
in adolescence. So she updated her will literally, like as I think about it now, she updated her will like around COVID. like
Okay.
2020-ish, 2021, 22.
Hmm.
So literally she had just updated her will.
Wow. Good.
And then she got the diagnosis.
Mm.
So yeah. And even like with that, like and she would always say, okay, Stacey, the papers are in my drawer. And she'd be like, I want to die at the house. And like just like flippant things, like just
Hmm.
in conversation.
Yeah.
But it became thorough instruction.
Reality. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there, looking back at it, is there anything that you wish that you would have gotten from her that she didn't like just didn't flippantly say or didn't have written down that you just kind of wish, man, that really would have made things a lot easier if I knew that beforehand,
I
besides the
think,
hospice thing?
yeah. At the beginning, as soon as she got the diagnosis, I went into grief. Like I was already like grieving the loss of her, even though it hadn't happened. So in my mind, I just tried to capture everything. Like without saying, Mom, I'm capturing everything. So I wish I would have taken more pictures.
Yeah, of course.
Um, like after she died, there's a couple of recipes of hers
Mm. Hmm.
that like her things that she cooked that was my comfort, right?
Hmm.
Like um like meatloaf. Anybody can make meatloaf. But like she had the topping on this one meatloaf recipe that is just, oh my god, like I could just eat the topping, like the little ketchupy stuff on the top.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it's literally, I'm not crazy. It's like ketchup, it's like some brown sugar, maybe a little acid. Like, so in my head, I know it's in it,
Yeah.
but like, it doesn't taste the same. You know what I
Right.
mean? And like, there's just certain things of hers that are just gone forever. Like her dressing, right? So I was fine for Thanksgiving, went and traveled, visit friends, and was perfectly fine until I woke up Thanksgiving morning and smelled like the stuffing
Mm.
because her stuffing was gone.
Mm.
So it's little things like that that you just can't capture. Like unless I don't know. Yeah. So there's like some really minute things that I'm like, oh, that would just be gentle or kind. But I have her journals. I have her manuscripts. I have like when I bake for the business, those are her recipes and they're in her script. So like
Well, that's so
when
special.
I bake, I see her handwriting every day, every
Yeah.
time I bake. And yeah, so there's like I feel like there's a trade-off, right? So like I don't have some of the softer, cushy, like,
Right.
oh, I don't have like the blanket she laid in, or I don't have the whatever, but I have her handwritten notes, right?
Right.
And I have her handwritten notes to me. So I don't know. It's kind of like I have some things, and yes, I would love to have more things,
Of course.
but that's just it. And like, and I have more, to be quite honest. I have more than I'm aware that I have
Yeah.
because I sold her home. And so
Hmm.
I retrieved as much as I could before the close.
Hmm.
And it's all sitting in my living room. So it's not like I don't have her things. Like
Right.
they're literally in my living room and I just need to sit down and like go through them and
Right.
organize them. Um but yeah, but like some of those, like I don't know, like there's some things I'm like, oh, I wonder, and then I'm like, oh, I don't have that of hers, or
Yeah.
I can't get that from her.
Yeah. So after she passed, what were some of the things that you did to kind of manage your grief? Because I know that was heavy for you. I mean, teaching and
Yeah,
trying to run a business and trying to do all these
yeah.
things. Like, how did you handle that?
I okay. So one of the things she taught me was you prepare for everything, right? So you make a list and you prepare for it, or you organize it in your brain, but you make a plan and then you follow the plan. Well, I started the plan before she died. So
Okay.
I August of 24, I think that's right. I think yes, August of 24. The business hadn't started yet. So this is even before the business started. Things were just going really good. She was doing really well with chemo. She was getting some spryness back, not 100%. gaining some weight, looking a little bit healthier. I was starting a new school year. I was excited about the content and the content I was teaching, the people I were going to be working with. And I told my girlfriend, I'm like, this is all going too well. Like something's getting ready to happen. I'm going to go to therapy. And she's like, you don't need to go to therapy. I'm like, no, no, the bottom's going to fall out. I need to go to therapy. And I didn't know why I needed to go to therapy. Like I just knew I needed some support.
Yeah.
And so in working with my therapist, the underlying issue was, what am I going to do when she dies? Like,
Mm-hmm.
how am I going to live?
Mm-hmm.
Um, because
It's okay.
yeah, I'm gonna get it out.
Yes, you will.
I mean, yeah, she was my mother, but she was my sister. She was better than a best friend. Like, there wasn't a part of my life that she was not enthralled all over in and giving her wisdom to. So I just didn't know how to survive without that support. And so that's what came out in therapy. And so and then through therapy, I realized, okay, like that's really tunnel vision and kind of crazy because I am alone, bigger than life, and I have a multitude of networks. So, like, I have friends and I have colleagues, and then I have close friends and I have family. So I'm not alone, but or what it is, it's, I didn't have another intimate relationship with another family member. And so that's what I was grieving before she died. So May of 25, I kind of, all right, so I go through therapy in August. My therapist is like, yep, you're done. Like in December. She's like,
You're healed.
and yeah, she's like, and dismissing you. I'm like, wait a minute now. And so she's like, no, you have all the tools. Like you can always come back. But she was right. I was really ready. And so that was December. And so January, we're just living life and it was all going well. Um, and then she started getting kind of sickly in April. And I started doing little things like the business had started. So I would make sure I do little things like I will just get my nails done. Like
Mm-hmm.
I can get my nails done. Like I will carve out time for that. Or I'll make sure my hair stays, you know, retwisted. And then all that went away like in April. So in April and May of last year, it was all for her.
Mm-hmm.
So when she died, I remember being very oh, like we're not going to drag this out. Like she's dead, she'll be cremated. Let's have a service. Let's move on. Like this is just a bump. I need to like live life. Like this can't drag out. And so we had her service. And so after her service, or before her service, I was talking with the girlfriend and I'm like, I have just like one of the things my mom kept saying to me, like throughout the years, but even more so after the diagnosis was, Stacey, you just have to take care of yourself. Like you cannot just keep ripping and running and doing all the things and not taking care of your body. You have to take care of yourself. And so after she passed, like that just rang in my ear. And so I was thinking of what are the best ways that I can take care of myself. So I just put some things in place to make sure that I made sure that I was taking care of myself. So I did that through self care. So, like, after she died, about a week or so later, I went on a cruise just to get away, just to be in the sun. We both love cruises, we both love water. Our last vacation together was a cruise. So, after the service, I just went on a cruise. And then I came back and I went very heavy into finding things that replenished my person. So I was very intentional with like who I spent time with and what the kind of energies they would feed me. And then self-care was like on level 72,000. So like the nails were on rotation, the hair was on rotation. I was getting massages, I was getting stretches. Um I'd wanted a new tat, so I got a new tat. And I was doing those kind of things and I kept doing those things until I was like, okay, I could piece off things that really weren't working for me. So like stretches weren't a really good thing. Like they were fine, but they weren't giving me the payback that I wanted.
Right.
So my masseuse was like, "Have you ever thought about reflexology?" And I was like, "No." She's like, "Well, let's try this." And so now my routine is hair, nails, reflexology, um, brunch with girlfriends. Like I just really I make myself, especially towards the end of the school year, I make myself carve out time for things. So like my reflexology appointment is on rotation. Like so when I'm there, I book the next one. When I get my hair done, I'm there, I book the next one. My nails, I just get them done. So I'm just taking care of myself. Um I started taking vitamins. Like I wasn't taking vitamins. So I've started taking vitamins. I've been watching my blood pressure. So it's just like so all the energy I would have spent in spending with her, I'm spending on me doing something
Doing
to
what she
keep my
told you to
mind
do.
together. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. I love that. Well, you had shared before, you shared a story about going to Jekyll and kind of like being
Yeah.
on the beach and just kind of just embracing your grief and, can share that story again because I remember
I will.
parts
I
of it,
will.
but that was such an
Yeah,
emotional
I will.
conversation for everybody. But I thought it was very powerful because, and that's one of the things that attracted me to you in our conversation, was just how human this experience is, and like how you just embrace it.
So one of the things my mom and I would do is we would just go for a ride. And
Mm-hmm.
we would just get in the car and just ride and sightsee. And we used to and then like we can add a layer of it. Sometimes like we'll like, oh, let's go be tourists. Right? Because we live in a very tourist area. So this was, I'd have to go back and look at my phone. Maybe I want to say August-ish. It's a Sunday dusk, and we're riding on Jekyll.
Okay.
And so as much I've lived in Brunswick, Glenn County, all my life, except for like 10 years. So like for 40 years, I've been here, and I'd never been to Driftwood Beach. She couldn't recall going to Driftwood Beach. And I was like, hey, let's just go and go to Driftwood Beach. Let's just go sunset on our face. And so if you're not familiar with Driftwood Beach, there's a couple of different ways to get in, but this way I went into the parking lot and you kind of have to like meander through some shrubs and up and down and around and over
Yeah.
some things to get onto the beach. Well, she wasn't able to do those things. So we got like to where we could see the water, but not actually on the beach. And she's like, this is as far as I can go. And I'm like, okay. So I took some selfies of us. I'm like, we're at the beach. And we rode around. And we'd always talk about going back. Well, after she died, um, I do these things where I like take all the things for Keiki. Like I'll take my laptop and my journals and whatever proposals I'm working on. And I will go sit at a restaurant and look at the water and like just be CEO at the water. So I was doing this one Saturday or Sunday, Saturday, whatever day, one day in the weekend. And I was like, oh, I'm on Jekyll. I should just go ahead and go to East. I should just go ahead and go to Driftwood Beach. So, and in my mind, I kind of set it up like I'm going to go finish the walk that we weren't able to finish. And I'm just going to go sit on the beach. Like, I'm going to go meet your spirit at this beach and just sit in it. I was really missing her. And it was nothing going on. I was just missing my mom. And so I walk on the beach, and I used to be okay. So, side note, I used to be a football coach for Glen Academy.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I was an academic football coach, not on the field. So I would help the guys with their SATs, ACT scores, and resumes and all that stuff to get help with recruiting. Well, the main tutor that I worked with was on the beach, and she was there going to do I think graduation pictures for her grand. And so she's like, Coach Taylor. And I was like, who is on the beach? And I'm full on in shades and tears. And I'm like, hey, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm going to go sit and talk to my mom on the beach. And she like hugs me and she's like, oh, you don't have to be sad. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm not being sad. Like, it's my mom. I
Yeah.
miss her. This is one of the spots we are at. Like, I'm just going to go and feel those emotions. And in my mind, and then the way I explain it is, Like, grief is so, it can be so confusing, but for me, it's such an honor because of all the things that she gave me. Of course, she deserves me sitting on the beach lamenting for her. Like, why would I not? So she was like, okay. So I get my chair and I sit down and I think about her and, ask Jesus to give her a little message and sing a song or two and cry. But it's just such an honor. And like yesterday, with being her transition day, like the day she died, like it was just a hallowed day, like for me. Like to sit and reflect. Like I was there, she was there, this is what happened, and she was at peace. And we were together, and that was her last moments on earth. And I was there, and what an honor that is.
Yeah.
And it's so, I don't want to use the word refreshing, but honor, I keep saying it, it's just a privilege because people don't get to have those kind of moments in life. People don't get to have the kind of relationship I had with my mom.
Very true.
Like when I talk about my mom and other friends of mine whose parents have passed, they're like their response is like, Stacey, I don't understand how you're like almost enjoying the grief. And I'm like, I am. Like, she's so worthy. Like, she gave me so much in my lifetime. I can spend the rest of my life crying for her. Like, she's worthy of that.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing that people just aren't blessed with those kind of relationships with parents. And again, it's just an honor. Like, she deserves that and even more. Like, I don't know. If I was in some other like country, I mean, I might be like hurting myself in honor of her. But you know what I mean? Like, she just deserves that. Like, her legacy deserves that and more.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it's so special, and interestingly, Jekyll holds a very special place for me too. That's where my we would go
Mhm.
as a family,
Yeah.
and so I don't know. I think I had shared in that space about that my husband had passed away, and one of the things that we would do is we would go to Jekyll. We usually went a little further. I guess it would be south. We were down
Yeah.
at Great Dunes. We always went in at Great
Yeah.
Dunes, and but we'd get in and he would just sit in the water and he'd play with the kids. Like that's just kind of one of our core memories. And
Yeah.
so on his angel anniversaries, there, especially for the first probably, gosh, 5 years, every year I would go and I would take flowers and I'd
Yeah.
draw like a little epitaph on the beach, and then I just kind of walk around and find sand dollars, and it's kind of that place for renewal, and
Yes.
you can celebrate them and remember them and honor them in that space that was a cherished space between you. So I love
Yeah.
that you did that, and
Yeah.
I
And like, there were just so many, like, because she lived here
mhm.
all of her life. Like, she like lived in Jacksonville for a very small part of her young adulthood. But like there's so many spots in Brunswick, right? So I can go to like Overlook Park and relive memories there. I can
Right.
go to St. Simon's and live memories there. I can go out to Bucky's. Like there's so like I can go to Belk in the mall. Like there's just so much of her everywhere.
Yeah.
Like it's just very easy for me to be like, oh, mom, remember this? Like, oh, I remember the time.
Right. Well, I love how you have taken Miss Wanda's legacy and moved it, like, and have built it around your own too, in creating the cakes and
Yeah.
the message that you're trying to move forward for that. Um, what is something that you would suggest, as an adult that has cared for an elderly parent and have helped them as they transition? What is a piece of advice that you would give to someone that's in a similar situation, like how to kind of prepare, or to what they can do to
Yeah.
make
Um,
that better?
I would definitely, my first piece of advice, I guess, would be just to be honest with yourself. Like, that's not an easy place to be as a caregiver of your, elderly parent.
Yeah.
I'd watched my mom care for my grandmother, and that was very hard. Like, my grandmother and mother's relationship was not the same that I had with my mom.
Mm.
Um, and it was a struggle for my mom because my grandmother wanted to be very independent and didn't want the assistance, but she couldn't live on her own. Like, it was a very weird dichotomy. Like, she couldn't live on her own, but she didn't want anybody else to live with her. Like what are you,
Yeah,
grandma?
you can't have it both ways.
So yeah, so like first, like you just have to be very honest with yourself, and like I just remember there was okay, so in at towards the end, she had an appointment, and it was for 11 o'clock during the day, but she woke up at 11 o'clock at night, saw the
Mm,
clock, got confused, and not in her right mind, jumped in the car and drove to the appointment at the hospital. Yeah. And this was like at the very towards the very end. And I had been, working the business and working with my mom. So like
right,
I had no concept of like what a regular schedule was.
right.
And I woke up to look at my phone and like 3 o'clock in the morning, and they're like trying to get me because my mom had fallen outside of the hospital. And this was a blessing. She'd fallen outside of the hospital. Two CNAs walk up, and she remembered them saying, "That's Stacey Taylor's mom. Wait a minute, we need to help her." So, like to this day, I don't even know who that was.
Hmm.
But thank God that I'm kind to people, so they're kind to my mom.
Right.
Um, and so I went on FMLA at that time, and what instead of going 100% off the work schedule, I went on a reduced work schedule.
Hmm.
So I just took like 2 hours out of my day and came in 2 hours later. That's like my one regret. I should have not. Should have just said, I'm not coming back. I'm going to be with my mom. But she wouldn't have wanted me to do that anyway because she didn't want anybody taking care of her. So I guess my advice would be like, just be honest and ready, and then make sure you're taking care of yourself, right? So it's kind of like, I haven't ever given birth, but it's kind of like that new mother syndrome. Like you're doing everything for the baby, but you forget to feed yourself and you forget to bathe yourself. It's like that. Like while you're taking care of, you still have to maintain your own
That's right.
life somehow and your own health. So that, and then ask for help. My mother was very prideful about um not necessarily the need for help, but the perception of people. She was prideful. So, like, her physical features had changed, right? So she lost weight. Her face was a little hollow. And so people would be like, "Oh, Wanda, you need to eat." Well, she did need to eat, but what she hadn't told them was that she's suffering with cancer. Like,
Right.
so she didn't tell that story, and that was her story to tell. Like, you have to be able to support that too. Like, so in my mind, I'd be like, "Hey, shut up. My mom has cancer." And she'd be
Right.
like, "Oh, you're right. I'm just going to eat some more." And I'm like, "No, tell the truth." Like,
Right.
but that was her story to tell. So I guess my advice is be honest, ask for help, and take care of yourself.
Yeah, that's really good. And
Because it's not an easy path to walk.
not at all. Not at
And
all.
and then like I hate to say this, but I'm thankful that I didn't have like a husband or children. Like my time wasn't divided. I
Right.
could give her everything.
Yeah, you could
I
devote
could, you know what I
100%.
mean? I could be there 100%.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's very special. That I mean, and that's fantastic advice. I mean, and I think people, I don't, I think so many people that get into that scenario, like I think it just kind of comes on them, like they don't really think about the process of preparing and thinking through things, and
Right.
like they're just in the moment, which is great, except for like you have
Yeah.
to be somewhat thinking about the future and
Right.
preparing. So
So, and I think that was like when I went to therapy in August, like that's what it was for me was I just need to prepare because I didn't want to have like a psychiatric break. I didn't want to have like, I didn't want to fall down. Like I just didn't, I couldn't fall apart because there's nobody else that put me back together. Like
right,
the
right,
person that put me back together is the reason why I'm falling apart.
right.
So
Yep.
I kind of had to like figure out like either I really have these tools and I'm going to be okay, or I need to go ahead and admit myself now because it's going to be that bad. Like, and
Yeah.
that was my mindset.
Yeah. Well, and I I think it's such a blessing that you had the forethought to like go ahead and get put yourself in therapy. Like I think that was so pivotal probably for your like just
Yeah.
for all of this because I can't even imagine had you not done that
Right.
just the mess that you would have been because trying to
Right.
process that, trying to figure yourself out and trying to answer
Right.
those questions that were so deep down that you didn't want to face. So,
Right.
wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It was a divine intervention. Like,
For
you know,
sure.
I truly believe it was because, like, one of my prayers has been like, Lord, just like order my steps and order my
Yeah.
time. Like, teach me to use this. Like, it's very marked. Like, we don't know how much we have, but it's very marked. I'm not going to get any extra time,
Right.
and I've already used time. So, like, my prayer is, let me be wise with what I have.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I well, I think about that too. It's like we waste so much time worrying about things and
Yeah.
thinking about things but not taking action on things.
Right.
And so
Right.
you so is that so what made you decide to so you said that you opened up the cakey business a
And
year or
see, I
so before?
think, yeah, I saw, and again, I think that was just a gift from God. Because I'd baked off and on
Hmm.
for friends, and I even remember like one of my best friends was like, when in my baking frenzies, she was like, she's like, why don't you sell these? And this was like towards the beginning of my career. So this was like maybe 10 years ago, if not more. And she's like, you could really sell these cakes. I'm like, yeah, you're right, I could. And I even had a friend who was going to do like a cost analysis for me, and I never like even had him do it. And then September, well, August, again, August 24, I'm teaching these groups of seventh graders. So they're what, 12, 13, and they're brilliant. And I know people say they're brilliant, but like these kids were really the really gifted, honors, brilliant kids of our seventh grade at
Wow.
the time. And it was the beginning of the year, and it was a huge class. It was like 33, 35 of them. And I was doing all of like the beginning of the school year activities. Like, these are the kind of things we're going to learn, and this is going to be fun. And I remember taking them through, like, these are the concepts we're going to learn. Like, we're going to learn about conflict, and we're going to learn about wars. Like, this is one of the wars we're going to learn. Like, for example, we'll learn about World War II. And a kid raised his hand. He's like, well, are you going to tell us about this aspect? And I was like, well, actually, yes. And they're like, well, when we talk about like the United States front, even though we weren't there, we're very much in the war. I'm like, yes, we'll talk about that. And so they elevated this conversation that was supposed to be just, hey, I'm just throwing you guys a bone. This is what we're going to do. But they were giving me back content that I was going to teach them. And I was like, oh. And I remember sitting there looking at them, and I said, oh, I can't teach you guys like normal. And
Mm,
so we got into the first part of economics that we're going to study, and we're going to study entrepreneurship.
okay.
And so I said, let's have a Taylor's Con, because I really like Marvel, and I
Okay.
geek out on Marvel a lot. And so me and the kids would geek out on Marvel. Like, if a movie came out, we talk about the movie. They're like, which ones did you watch this weekend? And so we would have these whole conversations about Marvel comics. So I said, let's have a Taylor's Con for economics. So for entrepreneurs. So I gave them like a list. Oh my God, it's such an array of vocabulary words that were like with the content, with entrepreneurship, and like some local words like downtown development and First Fridays. And then I invited, I guess it was about six local entrepreneurs to come, and we posed questions, and we had Taylor's Con. And so that was August. And so here are these 35 kids standing up saying, thank you for coming to TaylorCon. I've been studying um I've been studying franchises. I realize you don't have a franchise, but what would you do with a franchise? Blah blah blah. And so the people are like, "Oh my God, your kids are." I'm like, "Brilliant! I know." And so that was like the first seed of the business. Like, huh? And I was looking at my friends who are all entrepreneurs, and I'm like, "Yeah, these are all people just doing what they want to do. Like, this is amazing." So that was August of 24. September, Trishina Bowe had her shop on Gloucester Street, and it was a brown butter shop. And so I had an idea about the business, and I had been journaling, and it was during, I want to say, Hurricane Helene, maybe.
Mm.
And we were out of school, and I said, "Hey, Tree, if you're at the shop, I want to come shoot some things by you." And she's like, "Yeah." So I'm like, "I think I want to open a business." And she's like, "Girl, it's not what you think. Let's talk about it." Absolutely. Well, in that 2 hour, like, I literally sat there with her for like 2 hours. In
Wow.
2 hours time, I had my logo, my logo was designed. I already had the business name, a tagline, like some next steps of entrepreneurs, like going to the Lucas Center, meeting Andy, getting connected with some other local entrepreneurs. And I said to her, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm going to support you, however." And I said, "Well, what if I launched from your shop?" She's like, "All right." And so I said, "What if I launched from your shop?" She was doing tiny concerts,
Mm.
tiny shop concerts. And the next one was a childhood friend from ever. Like, his brother was my very, very best friend. Josh was going to play. And I was like, "Why don't I just take Josh's set?" And she's like, "All right." So I contacted Josh, and I was like, "Josh, I'm going to start this business. I kind of want to launch it at your concert." He's like, "Dope, whatever." And so we did. So I went and set up my little table with my little samples, introduced Josh, talked about the business. And that's kind of what Keiki is. It's very community. It's very community bringing together, right? So most people, like, well, that's something else, but most people, like, when they are buying Keiki, like, the next thing is like, "Oh, I'm buying this one for me, but this one is for person X," or "I'm buying these for my whomever because this is the situation in their life." And like, that just warms my heart because that's why I bake, is to give as a
Right.
gift. So that was launched September of 24 was the launch. And at that launch, I had my first catering order, and promises to help from a restaurants and some local chefs. And like, it just didn't stop. And like, it literally was like, my kids were studying entrepreneurs. Oh, well, I missed one piece. I went to her first tiny shop that was, must have been in August, and talked to Trishina, and she talked to me about food deserts and how entrepreneurship can really spur the community. And so that's kind of like, those two things kind of got my brain spinning. Um, but this is the part I missed out. So I went to a tiny shop, talked to Shishina, thought about starting a business around cake, and told my mom, I said, I think when I retire, I might want to open, I don't know, sell some cakes or something, do something fun. And she was like, "Oh, that would be cute." I'm like, "Yeah." And then at my condo, my commode broke, like a little plastic piece on the inside.
Yeah.
So I called my pastor to get a referral, to which my pastor was like, "I'm not giving you a referral. I'm just going to come over and fix it." And I'm like, "You cannot come and fix my commode. Like, you have a whole flock to take care of. There's so many things you need to handle at the church. Can you just give me the man's number, please?" And he's like, "No, I'll be there." He's like, "Send me a picture. I'll be there in a minute." So he came. And when I say my pastor, like, he's been my pastor mostly all of my life. Like, he was
Wow.
my youth pastor. So yeah. So like, he was my youth pastor, and then he has come up through the ranks of church, but he's always been, like, since I was, gosh, 14, 15, my pastor. And so we sat and we talked story and on and on and on. It was just a good time of fellowship. Well, I just felt convicted, and I said, "Oh, I can just bake him a cake. That'll be easy." And his daughter-in-law had a baby, and this baby was now 2, that I had promised her a cake when she was pregnant with the 2-year-old. So I was like, "Oh, since I'm baking 1, I'll just bake 2."
Yeah,
So
might as
I
well.
baked 2, took them to church on Sunday, surprised both of the families, and they were both surprised and like, "Oh my God, thank you, blah blah blah." And then I got the text about how great the cakes were, and then that's when it starts. The business starts, because I say to the Lord, I was like, "Oh my God, like, that was so much fun. Like, getting the ingredients, making sure I had the right ingredients, measuring them out, baking them, thinking about the person I'm baking for, and then baking the cake, and then delivering the cake. Like, oh, that is so great." I was like, I just want to do that all the time. And the Lord clearly as I'm talking to you, says, "Well, do that." Then I was like, "You do know how expensive that is? Like, ugh, that's so expensive just to give away cake." And then the Lord goes, "Stacey, sell the cake." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I could sell cake. But I don't want to sell, like, make big ones and just sell them. Like, that's just a whole lot of cake. Nobody wants a whole cake all the time." And like with disdain and like, why is she not getting it? Tone. I swear he's like, "Stacey, just make the cake smaller, sell the cake." And I was like,
Like,
"Oh,
duh.
I could make the cake smaller. I could sell the cake." And then I did. And then we had the launch night, and then launch happened, and then um while she was ill, because she got to see the beginning of the business. And so one of the things I also did was I went through the Lucas Center Accelerate program.
Mhm.
So that helps accelerate businesses once they launch. And so that was like a 6-week program. And at the end of that program, they have a pitch night. And that pitch
Mhm.
night is like Shark Tank.
Yeah.
So I was stressing the whole week. I couldn't get the presentation together. I couldn't get my words and my thoughts together. But mind you, I'm teaching,
Right.
launching a business. My mother's ill, terminal. And like, she was so to the point that it was pitch night. I didn't even ask her if she wanted to go. She brought it up. She's like, "Well, I kind of wanted to go." And I was like, "Well, I didn't want to ask you." She's like, "No, I want to go." And I was like, "Okay, great." And so we go, and then I win pitch night. So then that's just amazing. So she sees me speaking about her, talking about the development of the business, kind of where I want the business to go, what my dream for the business is, the pitch, and then I win. All right, so then that's April 24.
Mm.
So then May is a turn down month, right? And
Right.
so end of April, I go to Makers, and I'm just gonna shoot my shot with Kathy. Like, "Hey, like, the laws change. I kind of want to sell them here." And I'm again trying to get all my words in my head and get my sales pitch down. And I walk in, and I lay the cakes out in front of Kathy. I'm like, "This is what I'm doing." And she immediately goes, "Why are you not selling them here?" And I was like, "Well, that was easy. Let's have a conversation." And so, like, even though my mother was alive, she didn't, I don't think she has full knowledge of, like, less than a year, my cakes made it into a store. You know what I
Wow.
mean?
Yeah.
And so, like, and it's just like, I truly, and I think I started this part of the conversation with this statement, or maybe I should have. I truly believe the Lord gave me or presented me with the opportunity for this business to keep me sane and a way of honoring her moving forward.
Absolutely.
In my mind, well, in her mind, baking is a very small thing. Like, it wasn't who she was, but it was the gift that she gave, right? And so now, even though I'm selling, it's still the gift of hers that keeps going.
For sure.
And like, I've been able to take her recipes and not perfect them, but enhance them somewhat, and like built new flavors off of them. So like, it hasn't ended, and like, it's just kind of awesome.
Yeah, I love it. And Wanda's blue ribbon is that the sour cream pound cake?
Yeah. So her favorite cake to bake was the sour cream pound cake. And then she loves citrus and she loved lemon. I could
Mhm.
not care for lemon. When she made cakes for me, I asked her not to put it in. Um, but I just had an idea, like, I wonder how I can expand her. Because I
Mhm.
call that recipe Wanda's original, because it is. I was like, how can I expand? And I thought about doing a blueberry, and I put it out to, like, on Facebook. I'm like, should I do blueberry? Should I do banana pudding? And blueberry, I released the banana pudding first, but blueberry was like the number one on the poll.
Mm.
And again, it's her recipe, and I've just added to it.
Right. Oh, sorry. The
It's
dog decided
okay.
he needed to get out.
Heavy
So
conversation.
he's like, "Man, I need to get some food now." So you got I've seen the blueberry and lemon and the combo. Do you name, like, the other, are they named? Do you have any others that are named after any other family members, or is it
Oh my
just?
gosh. Yeah, so all of the flavors have a little story. So Wanda's original, of course, is my mother's favorite, and that has Florida Seneca in it. I don't like that one, and so when I make a plain vanilla pound cake, it's Stacy's Plain Jane because
Okay.
I like it plain. Um, then I have Taylor's Cookie Dream. And
Ooh.
technically, that one is not for my family, but one of my kids, and by my kids, like I've worked with youth groups and I've worked with high schoolers. So I have a ton of kids.
Yeah.
Um, I was in Publix and my kids, they're my kids, but they were there shopping, husband and wife. And he is a huge, like 6'3", broad, big guy, very quiet, meek, like he's not, outgoing or anything. Humble fella. And I'm talking to his wife and I'm like, hey, I'm starting the business, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, we will definitely order. And she's like, well, Taylor, that's her husband's name is Taylor. Taylor likes, she's telling me flavors he likes. And then he's like, Miss Stacey, could you make me an Oreo cookie one? And I was like, Taylor, if you want an Oreo cookie, I
I
will
got you.
make you an Oreo cookie cake. So Taylor's Cookie Dream is for Taylor Henson, which happens to be his first name is my last name. And then I have Winston's rum cake. The Winston was my father, and he was from Jamaica, and he liked a good Bacardi rum. So I have a cake that's infused with Bacardi rum that comes out on his birthday month. Um, and those are the only ones that really have names to them that mean something, except for Grammy's carrot cake. I like, there's just certain recipes you have to have that if you're going to be baking cake, and carrot cake is one of those. I'm not a big carrot cake is fine. That's not my first go-to, and I hadn't ever baked it before, but it was coming up fall. Heck, this is last year. Coming up fall, and I needed a carrot cake recipe, and one of my mom's best friends, I'm still very in close contact with, and in fact, she calls herself my godmother now.
Oh,
We just like she really helped me at the end and was just there and gave a lot of support. And she had a carrot cake recipe, and I was just in conversation. I was like, yeah, I need to find a carrot cake recipe. I just don't even know how to do it. I'm not like that's just not my go-to cake, so I've never baked it before. And she says, well, I've got a good carrot cake recipe. She's like, you can have it if you like. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like, I'm going to sell it. And she's like, oh yeah, sell it. But again, that's kind of what I want cakey to be. Like, I don't want to just grab something off the internet and shiz it up and then call it a cake. Like, the business means something to me, so then the flavors have to mean something to me.
of course.
Now I have like Grammy's carrot cake because her grandkids call her Grammy.
Sweet.
And it's not her exact recipe. Her recipe is the foundation, and then I've added and tweaked it a little bit. My little spin on it. But yeah, the majority of the recipes that I have will have a story. um, and is near and dear for a reason. Yeah.
I love it. So, do
Yeah.
you have a website or anything that people can check out your
Yes.
goodies?
So thank you for asking. I just met with my marketing person, and I have
Good
a
timing.
website that will be launched next week,
Okay.
and it's literally cakey.com.
Perfect. Yeah, I imagine that most people probably don't have that spelling.
No, yeah. Cakique.
Yes.
Cakey. Yes.
Cakey. Yeah, no, it's, and then for anyone that hasn't had the opportunity to have it yet, I mean, it is absolutely divine. And so, whenever if you're not from this area, you need to go down. You need to come down to the Golden Isles. You need to
Yes.
go check out some of these local hot spots and pick you up some cakey cake. And
Yes.
mm, yes, yes,
Yes.
it's so good. So, Miss Stacey, we're gonna wrap up. Do you have any last words of wisdom for our audience today?
I do. I think I would like to leave them with whether you are in grief or someone's in grief, whatever you think they need is what they need, right? So I would have a ton of people like, oh, Stacey, I thought about you. I was going to call you, but I didn't want to bother you. And my response is, well, if you would have called me, I would have said, hey, thank you for calling. I don't have time. Or thank you for calling. This is exactly what I need. Because whatever you think that person that's experiencing grief needs is probably what they need, right? So, like, if you thought they were going to go buy them dinner, just go buy it, whether they eat it or not. It's the gesture that you want to do, and they need to know that they're not forgotten after the service, you know?
That I love that. That is
Yeah.
fantastic. That is so good.
Yeah.
That is so good. Well, thank you so much, Stacey, for joining me today. I will have all your socials and I'll have your new website information in the
Yay.
show
Thank you.
notes for anyone that wants to check it out. Again, if you come to the Golden Isles in Georgia, you have to go check out St. Simon's, or you can come in downtown Brunswick. You can find you
Yeah.
some cakey cake and get you whatever flavor of the week it is. I have to go find me some too. So,
Fresh
so
deliveries every Monday.
yeah, I see. I do follow you on Facebook, so I do
Yeah.
see the temptation every week, and I'm like, oh man, I need to go get me some of that. So definitely follow.
Temptation is just a little invitation. Just
Just
a
a little
little
invitation.
invitation.
Yeah, yeah. My hips are saying you definitely don't need that, but
That's
it's
why
so
there's so
good.
little. It's just enough cake so you can have a taste for it.
That
See, you have to be careful, Lynn. I have an answer for all of these.
well, isn't that your slogan too? Is it just enough? Just
Just
enough.
enough cake. Yeah.
Just enough cake is the
Just enough
slogan, and
cake.
it's so cute the way it's packaged. I love it. I absolutely love it. So thank you again for joining me.
Thank
And
you.
to my audience, please, if you enjoyed our conversation today, if you found value in it, please share it with your family and friends. A lot of great wisdom and gold nuggets in this show today. And as you all know, death is inevitable, chaos is optional, and I'll see you all next week. Thank you all so much. Take care. Bye bye.